Let's give him one more big round of applause. Great job. We will now hear from our first of our honor speakers, selected by the graduating class of 2015. Mr. Quick, a science teacher and department chair at Richmond High School, was selected for this year's speaker.
Good afternoon, guys. Congratulations. Thank you for allowing me to speak to you guys today. This is something I'd always hoped I'd have the opportunity to do. And I cannot think of a bigger honor than being chosen to speak to a bunch of wonderful young adults that are getting ready to venture out into the world and make their own paths. I would think that all commencement speakers at all high school graduations all around the nation probably have a sense of this honor. However, this is uniquely special to me because back in 1996, I was in your chair and I was about to listen to one of the most respected men to ever teach in this district speak to me, Coach Adams. A lot of things he and many other teachers said to me during my high school years are still with me today and have motivated me to be the teacher and the person that I am. That made me realize that there's an enormous amount of pressure to make sure that I chose the words today that would inspire, motivate, and eventually lead to all of you being successful in all that you do. I also felt the pressure of trying to live up to the standard set by those before me who have come to this podium. All right, let's just stop right there. I gotta be honest, it's a lot of pressure. I am the last teacher that gets to speak to all of you at the same time before you go out in the big scary world. I mean, let's face it. I'm the biology teacher in second hall with all the cheesy jokes. To make matters worse, when I Googled how to write a good commencement speech, it said, oh, it's okay to be a little humorous, but don't be cheesy. That's kind of all my material. So I was a little lost, and I really didn't know what to say to you today, so I asked for opinions, and here's the advice I received. Get on the internet and listen to some speeches. There's got to be some really good ones out there. Don't worry, in a couple weeks, nobody's going to remember what you said anyway. Shorter's always better. Remember, it might be hot. Make sure you mention individual kids by name. They like that. Don't mention individual kids by name. You'll leave somebody out, and that's not fair. So there I was with all this pressure and all this wonderful advice. And that's when I realized that you guys are kind of in the same spot. I mean, you guys are here on a day that you felt like would never come. You've survived full-day kindergarten, Kafootie Bears, middle school dances, math testing, geometry, Ender's Game, EOCs, red cards. I could go on forever, okay? And now here you are with all your requirements for graduation. You've accomplished a lot in the last 13 years and you should be congratulated. And it should be celebrated with friends and family and cake and punch and cards and graduation gifts. However, when the parties are over and everybody goes home, you're going to realize that you're at a point where you have to make some pretty important decisions. Do you go to college or not? Do you consider technical school? Do you go straight to work? What do your parents expect you to do? What do your teachers expect you to do? And if you move out, who's going to cook and do your laundry? And trust me, everybody's going to want to give you advice. So how do you make the right decision? And how do you know if you made the right one? Well, that's where I come in. So if you haven't been paying attention up to this point, or you're thinking about something else, make sure you're listening. Do everything that makes you happy. Don't settle for survival, work for happiness. Decide what it'll take to make you happy and don't settle for anything less, regardless of anyone else's advice. See, no one can know what you should or shouldn't do when it comes to life. Only your heart's gonna know what makes you happy. Some of you will have to travel some pretty challenging paths to reach your happiness. I promise that you will get there as long as you never give up. In fact, the only thing that keeps anybody from anything they truly desire are giving up and not trying. This makes happiness seem easy to achieve. I mean, all you have to do is not give up. But here's the thing, giving up is easy. Adversity sometimes makes us want to throw in the towel and do what's easy. Well, doing the easy thing may seem better many times. but it will always keep you short of happiness and will always keep you in a constant state of struggle. Coach Adams used to tell us a story when we were in school that kind of drove this point home, and I'll see if I can tell it right. Coach, I apologize if I messed it up. A little frog was hopping around a farmyard looking for good things to eat. He found wonderful juicy flies buzzing around the pig pen. He ate some delicious crunchy spiders that hung from webs hanging from the feed trough. He saw a mosquito flying by and he reached out and he grabbed it with his long sticky tongue. As the little frog ate, he explored new places. Everything in his life was exciting, easy, and fun. But then he saw a cricket hop into the milk shed. The cricket hopped through the door, so the frog hopped through the door. The cricket hopped up on a milk stool, and so did the frog. The cricket hopped up on the tabletop, and the frog followed. Then the cricket hopped up onto a window ledge, and the frog hopped up on the window ledge. The cricket then hopped out the window, but the frog fell, and he splashed right into a milk pail. The pail was filled halfway with fresh milk. The level of the milk was way too low for the frog to reach the top, and the sides were too high and he couldn't climb out. The frog was scared and he didn't know what to do. The frog kicked and he swam in circles until he became tired. He tried to close his eyes and just rest for a few seconds, but he sank to the bottom of the pail where his nostrils filled with milk. He couldn't breathe. He used his legs to push off the bottom, and he kicked with all his might until he came to the surface again. He was very afraid, and he was so tired. All he wanted was rest. But every time he quit kicking, he sank into the milk and he started to drown. His friends heard the commotion, and they told him, please quit. They didn't want to see him suffer. But the frog did not give in to his fear, his tired legs, or the advice of his friends. He kicked, and he kicked, and he kicked, and he kicked, and then something strange happened. The milk began to turn thicker around him. And at first, this made the kicking even harder. The thickened milk tried to suck him straight to the bottom of the pail. It was harder than ever to swim and kick, but still the frog wouldn't give up. And finally, the milk turned thick enough that the frog could stand on top of it instead of sinking in. The milk had been turned into butter through all the kicking and the turning and the churning of the frog. The frog was able to climb out to safety and return to his family. There will be at least one day in your life where you feel like the frog. The world will seem like an overwhelming place. Just remember to concentrate on kicking and you will find yourself standing on the butter. Again, I congratulate you on your graduation from Richmond High School. And I will close with one more thing that Coach Adams used to tell us, and I mean it from the bottom of my heart. God bless you, and I love you. Good luck, and never give up.
Thank you, Mr. Quick. It is my privilege to introduce the 2015 Senior Class President, Whitney Ballinger. Whitney, if you come on up.
Good afternoon, school board members, administration, faculty, friends, and family members. On behalf of the class of 2015, I would like to thank each one of you for being here today. To my classmates, today marks reality. 13 years ago, when we sat down at our desk on the first day of kindergarten, this day was merely a thought. When we graduated elementary school, this day was our goal. And once we hit freshman year, this day couldn't come sooner enough. But today is reality. When I started writing this speech, I started going on and on about the materialistic cliche things you probably hear in every other graduation speech. But I figured you guys have already sat through enough of those kind of speeches the last 4 years. This morning, while you were putting on your gowns and making sure your cap looked just right, it probably didn't cross your mind that this moment is the last time you will ever see some of your classmates. And for others, I'm sure that was the only thing on your mind. In just a little bit, each one of you will come up and accept a piece of paper with your name on it. A piece of paper you've been working on for 13 years. The only paper proven to be tougher than a ruled essay. Also on this paper states Richmond High School. Keep in mind the name on this paper resembles who you are and where you came from. Come 10 to 15 years down the road, when you look back at this diploma, always remember who you are and where you came from. The person accepting this diploma today will not be the same person looking back on it in the future. And I know for a fact the person accepting this diploma today is not the same person who walked in those front doors 4 years ago on the first day of freshman year. Now, I'm not saying no Hannah Montana, Miley Cyrus transformation, but I think we can all agree we're a little different than before. Peers we were best friends with freshman year soon just became another face in the hallway, and someone you could never imagine saying hi to suddenly became your biggest support system. Either way, each one of your classmates you've interacted with will forever hold a place in your high school stories you will eventually tell to your own kids and grandchildren. Speaking of stories, let's talk about our middle school ones. You know, those embarrassing haircuts or how you swore you're gonna marry your 6th grade sweetheart. Remember those? When thinking back on it, those stories either make you laugh or at least bring a smile to your face. And that's exactly what it will do in 10 years when you look back on everything that's happened in your high school career. Because I promise you, every stereotype you were given, infamous drama you were a part of, and yes, even those awesome statements we called yik yaks will all just become a funny memory of your high school year. And if we haven't learned already, those words do not define you. That name on this diploma up here defines you. Your determination, commitment, and for some of you, the chance to prove someone wrong. From this day on, there is no more raising your hand for approval. No one to stop you from wearing those new shorts you bought last weekend because you couldn't risk endangering the guys' rigorous education here. When you do leave here today, you're going to have endless amounts of choices. Always remember, whatever you decide to do, just go with it, and go with all your heart. Give it just as much effort as the last play on your senior night, and do it just as confidently as your walk into senior prom. Whatever you put your mind to, I can promise you it will come easier than a snow day here at R-XVI. And my last piece of advice to you is always keep in mind how fast these last 4 years went by. As common as it is for us to say we will not miss high school, keep in mind you always said you wouldn't miss those simple times tables back in 2nd grade, but yet we would do anything to have those assignments over 4 pages of calculus. Keep in mind we said we'd never miss those early morning conditioning practices, but now we do anything to spend just one more day with our teammates instead of waking up at 7 for college or for that college final you'll probably procrastinate studying for. Live in the moment and don't wish away what's to come. Enjoy these next years of your life. It'll be one fast, crazy ride. So have fun, be safe, and always wear your seatbelt.
Good job, Whitney. At this time, please join me in welcoming Jackson Pence, valedictorian, who will be our next featured speaker. Jackson, can you come forward?
Good afternoon, Richmond High School faculty, administration, Board of Education, and to the family and friends of the 999 students before us. I'd like to start out with a special thank you to everyone. Thank you to the faculty for putting up with us for these past 4 years, even though they were paid to do it, and to the family and friends of the students for raising some of the most well-respected youth in our community. And last but not least, congratulations, class of 2015, for having the dedication to make it through our high school journey. Although all of our journeys and hardships were different, our destinations were all the same, and that is this stage right here. One thing I found interesting about high school is that most of the lessons learned along our journey came not only from the teachers, but from each other. If you take a second to look around at your fellow graduates, I'm sure you will see someone that has influenced you in some way. If you hear your name called throughout my speech, please stand and let the audience recognize you. For example, Miss Nina Bass has got to be one of the hardest working people here today. For anyone who has been to our local Sonic, I can almost bet you've seen her working there at some point. She often works until midnight, even if she has school the next day. As someone who gets nearly 8 hours of sleep every night and doesn't even have a job after school, I still find getting up in the morning to be one of the hardest parts of the school day. But somehow, despite her busy work schedule and lack of sleep, she has near perfect attendance and always has a smile on her face. Nina Bass has taught me that just because you work long hours doesn't mean you can't have time for the things that really matter and have a positive attitude about them. Another person that's influenced me is Mr. Damian Probst. If you ask any one of the students here, they will tell you that Damien is somewhat of a class clown. What some people, including teachers, don't always realize is that he can be a very hard worker as well. Damien and I served as president and vice president of National Honor Society, participated in the Mr. Valentine pageant both our junior and senior years, and coached a Little League soccer team together. On top of these things, Damien also works hard in his athletics, such as football, basketball, and track, in which he won the Golden Shoe Award at the Chillicothe track meet, scoring the most points out of all the guys there. Damien has taught me that joking around and having fun is a big part of success. The two people who have taught me the most, however, are Miles Hilligus and Luke Rumball. Would you guys please stand? These two are my longest and possibly most meaningful relationships I have. I've known these two since the very beginning of my education here in the Richmond School District, and these are the two people that I can count on for anything. I can always count on them to have my back through thick and thin, and they will always be there when I need a hand. These two have not only helped me realize the kind of person that I want to be, but the kind of people I want to surround myself with for the rest of my life. These two have taught me the most important lesson, and that is friendship. However, after today, all of the moments I've had with these people will become memories. And it wasn't until my district cross-country race that I realized all this. You guys can sit if you get tired. In cross-country, we compete in 3.1 mile-long races, which is possibly the worst idea for a sport I've ever heard. I ran the entire season with the attitude that I just wanted to get each race over with. The last meet of my high school career is a day I will never forget. All I could think about was the fact I had one more race to run and I would never have to do it again. I would never have to run until I felt like quitting or get up at 7 in the morning for summer practices. As the race began, I ran my first mile as usual, then my second. For my last and third mile, my outlook on life changed forever. As I approached the end of my second mile, I could see and hear Coach Quick cheering me on and yelling my time. Again, I thought, one more mile and I never have to do this again. But then it hit me. Instead of saying I never have to do this again, I thought I never get to do this again. I realized that all of the memories I've made with my team would be nothing more than that, memories. I would never again get to joke with my team. I would never get to share the terrible workouts we did together, and I would never again experience the camaraderie we shared. The thing we have to remember is that every moment we live in will someday become a memory. All of the inside jokes, your friends, the sports you've played, and even your current hobbies will someday be memories. You personally will be a memory to the majority of the people here today. My question for you is, are you a good one? Did you leave a positive impact on these people and RHS? If you're unsure or unhappy about your answer, you can change it. For some things it might be too late, but you can still leave a positive memory for some of your fellow graduates. Before you leave today, I suggest you compliment someone or apologize for something you may not have thought about until now. The last piece of advice I will give you is a very important choice we all can make. We've spent enough time in high school to know that a lot of the things that people are good at come down to just genetics and luck. I'm not saying that hard work doesn't pay off, but we are all different in our own way, and we have to accept some things. For example, we can all look around and point out the people who stand out above the rest in certain aspects of life. Quentin Maxwell, I don't know where he's at. Quentin Maxwell is probably more athletic than most of us, or at least me. Savannah Hamilton and Cora List. They're both truly wonderful artists and can draw well enough to make Mr. Parker even look pretty decent. Not everyone can be the smartest person in the room like Miles Hilligus or Jonathan Daniel. You guys can see me. And we all can't be as clever and funny as Daniel Piron or Damian Probst. We all obviously can't have the seemingly fairy tale relationship that Chase Shipley and Hannah Hilliard share. Now I can spend all day telling you the things that people are better at than me, but it wasn't until this year that I realized a very important thing. This thing is often overlooked when we compare ourselves to others, because it is not something that is easily seen. Mainly because it is not a physical attribute. It can't be seen by everyone, but it can be felt. It can change your whole outlook on life and make it far more enjoyable for years to come, and that is happiness. We can't all be the funniest, smartest, most athletic, or best looking, mainly because these are all traits you're born with. As Bill Gates said, success is mostly luck. But there is one thing we all have a chance of being, and that is happy. Just remember to live in every moment and be happy about it. Strive to not only be the best you can be, but the happiest you can be. Congratulations, class of 2015, and be the successful people we know you can be.
Let's give all of our speakers one more big round of applause. Nice job today. I would like to present the class of 2015 who have met all the requirements established by the Board of Education and the state of Missouri. At this time, our distinguished board members will present these well-earned diplomas to our graduates. After all have passed, we will continue.
Heather Lynn Ackerman. Heather Nicole Adams. Jamie Michelle Baker. Whitney Beth Ballinger. Nina Arlene Bass. Max Allen Blair. Joseph Brody Bryant. Jody Marie Brown. Olivia Jean Brozovic. Anthony Wyatt Bulk. Allie Claire Burster. Bailey Victoria Bussey. Nicole Ann Camp. Chelsea Nicole Campbell. Kaya Sue Klein. Bailey Erin Ray Cooper. Austin Lee Crossland. Yule Dane Ferdinand Balaniso Quizon. David Jonathan Daniel. Doran Lee Davis. Shelby Lee Day. Dalton Allen Duffett. Tiara Joelle Duhamel. Bobby Lee Edgman. Brogan Abigail Estes. Anthony Saxon Fairs. Kirsten Dawn Ferris. Alexis Marie Foster. Alexis Aaron Foxall. Megan Kate Gant. Christopher Morgan Gardner. Cody Wade Gilbert. Cassie Nicole Graham. Savannah Sierra Hamilton. Kendra Conley Hastings. Clayton Robert Hawkins. Allison Paige Haynes. Mackenzie Elizabeth Hayson. Alexis Ann Hendricks. Madison K. Hewitt. Tyra Charday Hill. Miles Layton Hilligus. Hannah Dean Hilliard. Thomas Wilburn Hook. Nathan Lee Hosman. Rebecca Lynn Hufford. Kira Alexis Jackson. Haley Jane Jenkins. Wayne